Hello guys, it's the Unclear 999. Today's video is about getting bullied in high school and having anxiety. High school was supposed to be a place of growth, discovery, and connection. But for some, it becomes a battlefield of silent pain, where every hallway feels like a gauntlet and every classroom like a spotlight exposing your fears. For those who've been bullied, the scars aren't just physical, they're emotional, psychological, invisible to most, but deeply felt every single day. It starts subtly sometimes, a snide comment, a mocking glance, whispers behind your back, but over time, it grows louder, meaner, more isolating. You begin to dread walking through the doors, you pray for invisibility, and every laugh from across the room feels like it's about you. The anxiety builds like a storm in your chest, tightening, unrelenting, until even the thought of raising your hand or walking to your locker feels like climbing a mountain. Your mind becomes your enemy, replaying every insult, every embarrassment, every moment you were made to feel small or different or not enough. And the worst part, you begin to believe them. The lies they tell you, the names they call you, the image they project. It seeps into your self-worth until you question your value altogether. Sleep becomes hard, eating becomes harder. Trust disappears. You start faking smiles just to survive the day. And still, the world often tells you to toughen up, to ignore it, to grow thicker skin, as if pain isn't real unless it's bleeding. But anxiety doesn't leave bruises. It hides in your thoughts, your breathing, your hesitation to speak. Yet within that darkness, there is a quiet strength, a fight to just keep going. Each day you survive is a victory. Each tear you shed is proof that you still care. And slowly, through the wreckage of fear and humiliation, you begin to find pieces of your courage. Maybe it's in the friend who notices, or the counselor who listens, or the moment you realize that their cruelty is a reflection of them, not you. Healing is not linear, and neither is confidence. But you are not weak for feeling afraid. You are not broken for struggling. You are human, and your story isn't over. One day, you will look back at that frightened version of yourself, and you will not feel pity, you will feel pride, because despite everything, you kept going, and that makes you stronger than they'll ever know. And in time, as you carry the weight of what you endured, something begins to shift. You start noticing the cracks in the stories they told you. The labels they forced on you no longer fit. You begin to rediscover pieces of yourself that were buried beneath fear, your humor, your intelligence, your kindness, your creativity, all the things they tried to silence. You realize that surviving was more than endurance. It was an act of defiance, of resilience, of quiet bravery. And somewhere along the journey, healing begins, not in one grand moment, but in the small ones. When you speak without trembling, when you smile without pretending, when you look in the mirror and finally recognize someone worthy. The anxiety may still whisper, may still linger in the corners of your mind, but now you have tools, language, strength, and maybe even support. You learn to breathe through the panic, to talk back to the shame, to set boundaries without guilt. You find comfort in chosen friends, safe spaces, and sometimes even in your own solitude. And perhaps the most powerful thing is this: what once made you feel broken now becomes your armor. Your story, once painful, becomes powerful. You understand others with deeper empathy. You protect the voiceless. You become the person you needed back then. The scars remain, but they no longer define you. They remind you of the battles you fought, the silence you shattered, the self you wrecked. High school may have tried to crush you, but here you are, standing, growing, healing, and becoming. And one day, someone else will need your story, and you'll tell it, not with shame, but with pride, because the pain didn't end you, it shaped you. And the anxiety didn't destroy you. It revealed the strength that was always waiting to rise. And as the seasons of life move on, you begin to notice how much you've grown. Not always in loud or visible ways, but in quiet, personal victories that most people never see. You notice it when you finally walk into a room and no longer shrink, when your voice doesn't shake when you speak your truth, when you look someone in the eye, not with fear, but with grounded confidence. Healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It is about learning to live fully despite it. It's about understanding that what you went through wasn't your fault, that you didn't deserve the cruelty, and that your sensitivity is not weakness, it's your superpower. You've become more aware of the invisible battles others might be fighting too. You've become gentler, wiser, more intentional. You start to build a life that reflects who you really are. Not the version shaped by fear, but the one formed by survival, introspection, and grit. You begin to see your anxiety not just as an obstacle, but as a signal, a messenger that taught you how to listen to yourself, how to slow down, how to recognize when you needed care. You begin to talk about your struggles more openly, not for pity, but to build bridges for others still walking through the fire you once knew so well. And maybe one day, someone will come to you, quiet and unsure, carrying their own pain, and you'll know what to say. Because you've been there, you'll recognize the look in their eyes, the hesitations in their steps. You'll offer them what you never received: understanding without judgment, support without conditions, presence without pressure. And in doing so, the cycle of pain slowly breaks. You'll find that the world beyond high school is vast, far bigger than the walls that once confined your spirit. You'll discover passions that light you up, relationships that heal rather than hurt, environments that nourish instead of shame. You'll learn that your worth isn't determined by popularity, appearance, or perfection, but by your character, your integrity, and your heart. The people who once mocked you may fade into the background, irrelevant to the person you've become, because they didn't define you. They only tested you, and you passed. Not because it was easy, but because you didn't give up. You'll realize, too, that your story is not rare, that so many carry the same wounds, the same battles, the same long nights of wondering, will this ever get better? And you'll be living proof that yes, it can, and it does. Healing is not about reaching a place where nothing hurt. It's about learning how to carry what once broke you and still move forward. You'll look back one day, not to relive the pain, but to honor your journey, to see how far you've come, to thank the past version of you who refused to quit, even on the days they had every reason to. That version of you, the one who walked through those school halls, afraid and exhausted, still trying, they were the foundation of everything you are now. So if you're still in that dark place, wondering if it ever gets easier, know this: it does, not all at once, and not without struggle, but it does. You will grow. You will find your voice. You will surround yourself with people who see your value, and most importantly, you will learn to see it for yourself. The pain you endured will become part of your strength, not your shame. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by how you rise from it, and you will rise, not because you have no fear, but because you've learned to walk forward in spite of it. That is the quiet courage that shapes survivors into leaders, outcasts into visionaries, and once anxious teenagers into powerful, compassionate adults. You didn't give up, and that means everything.